Hey guys, tonight we wander into a medieval village just as twilight spills soft gold across timbered rooftops, and the smell of wood smoke drifts lazily through the cool evening air. You step carefully over uneven cobblestones, passing a well where a few villagers pretend not to stare at one another a little too long. Somewhere nearby, a lute hums faintly. Courtship is in the air. Or maybe that's just the livestock. Either way, romance here feels less like a private text message and more like a community event. And as you glance around at watchful parents, gossiping neighbors, and the looming church tower in the distance, you realize something important. Without dating apps, privacy, or even basic alone time, you probably won't survive this. But don't worry. Medieval flirting has its own slow, dramatic charm. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're settling in, comment below with your location and the local time where you are right now. I always love seeing where in the world you're listening from as we step back into history together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand at the edge of the village square as the day winds down. A baker closes his wooden shutters. A group of children chase each other in circles before being called home. But your focus drifts elsewhere, to the subtle glances exchanged between two young villagers near the well. Dating, as you know it, doesn't exist here. There are no candlelit restaurants reserved just for two. No quiet movie nights. Courtship in medieval times is public, practical, and deeply intertwined with family reputation. A mainstream historical fact gently settles in. In much of medieval Europe, especially among peasants, marriage was less about romantic love and more about economic survival. Families considered land, labor, alliances, and dowries when arranging matches. Love was welcome. But stability came first. You notice how a young man in a simple indigo tunic lingers near the well longer than necessary. He offers to lift a heavy wooden bucket for a young woman in a russet dress. She lowers her gaze modestly, but her smile betrays interest. The entire exchange lasts seconds. And yet, in this world, that small act carries meaning. You begin to understand something quietly powerful. Courtship happens in shared spaces. At wells. At markets. During church gatherings. There is almost always an audience. An odd detail makes you pause. Sometimes, young, unmarried people would participate in playful village traditions, like May Day celebrations, where symbolic flowers or garlands were exchanged. These weren't just festive decorations. They could hint at affection. A sprig of rosemary might suggest remembrance. A ribbon tied just so might carry a secret message. You wander closer to the church, its stone walls glowing softly in the fading light. The bell tower stands tall, reminding everyone that romance unfolds under moral supervision. Courtship isn't just about two people. It's about God, family, and the entire community. Scholars still argue whether medieval marriages were as emotionally distant as older historians once believed, or whether affection quietly grew within these practical unions more often than we assume. As you watch the subtle body language between the young villagers, you suspect the answer is complicated. The square begins to thin as dusk deepens. Parents call daughters home. Fathers rest heavy hands on sons' shoulders. Conversations are brief, measured. No one lingers too long. You imagine yourself as one of these young villagers. Your world is small. Your choices are limited. You will likely marry someone from this very village, someone your parents approve of, someone whose family fields border your own. The concept of finding yourself first would sound strange here. Identity is woven into family and land from birth. A cart rattles past, wheels creaking. The driver eyes the pair by the well and smirks knowingly. Gossip travels fast in small communities. A single rumor could damage a reputation quickly. You shift your weight and notice how close the cottages are built together. Privacy isn't just socially discouraged. It's architecturally impossible. Thin wattle and daub walls don't muffle whispers. Shared living spaces mean everyone knows everyone's business. The young man finally steps back from the well. He gives a slight nod. Not too bold. Not too familiar. The young woman gathers her bucket and walks toward her home, her pace steady, though her cheeks remain faintly pink. This is the rhythm of medieval dating. Slow. Cautious. Observed. You turn your gaze toward the castle on the hill beyond the village. There, courtship looks different, but equally complicated. Nobles engage in elaborate displays of courtly love, where poetry, longing glances, and grand gestures sometimes matter more than actual marriage prospects. But down here, among farmers and tradespeople, survival shapes romance. Another historical reality drifts through your thoughts. Life expectancy was shorter, and economic stability fragile. Choosing a partner wasn't about butterflies in your stomach. It was about ensuring fields were worked, children were raised, and winters were survived. As darkness settles fully, oil lamps flicker in cottage windows. The square empties. The well stands silent. You remain there for a moment longer, feeling the weight of it all. The tenderness hidden beneath watchful eyes. The longing wrapped tightly in duty. Dating in medieval times isn't dramatic in the modern sense. It doesn't sweep you off your feet. It roots you firmly in your community. You take one last look at the now quiet square and realize something unexpectedly gentle. Even here, in a world of strict rules and shared spaces, hearts still beat a little faster when two hands brush at the well. And tomorrow, under the same watchful sky, it will happen again.